to our podcast, Activating the Truth in Doses, where we are speaking truth and sparking transformation. I'm LeVar Green.
And I'm Jill Jackson. Welcome to Dose 2. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of telling yourself the truth and how lies keep you stuck.
Right. So I think this topic here is important because how many of us have lived through life and just believed the lies that we were told, and then more importantly, lies we told ourselves?
Absolutely. I think that's the key part of it. It's not outside lies, but it's the lies that you tell yourself and the things that you aren't honest with you about that really keep you stuck. And I think that's a play on our name. That's why we wanted to go here first to talk about why truth is so important.
Right. Like one lie that people kept trying to tell me, like I'm supposed to smile all the time. I don't want to smile all the time. That's just something side note. I'm Mr. I stay mad. I don't want to smile all the time. And I'm not even mad. I know it sounds negative, but man, I'm motivated to determine. We're out here trying to make a decision to make a difference and stay motivated to determine why I do it, right? So I look angry. So and I ain't going to say my truth. The truth of LeVar is, and I say that for a reason, we'll get back to it later, the truth of LeVar is God made me how he made me, right?
Yeah.
And I look the way I look, and I have an angry looking face. But I'm a very nice person.
You
right?
are.
Am I trying to convince you?
No,
I'm not trying to convince you, right?
I'm convinced. I mean, I get it. But I think that's key what you just said, because it's like you embracing who you are and not trying to be any version of yourself other than what God created you to be. It's about authenticity. Right.
And although there are many areas that I think we all can be truthful about, that we have to get better in, we have to make some adjustments. So in college, I was a very angry person. In high school, I was a very angry person.
Yeah.
But when I realized I was in this pursuit of something, and I just, I was I would say on the side of the spectrum that wasn't as healthy. You know what I mean? That I finally kind of got to a balance, and still getting to that balance, y'all. I don't really think we ever get to completion until it's time to go. But the truth that I feel like that God was showing me is that that's actually a good sweet spot for me. People call it the zone in sports. So for me, part of the truth and part of me trying not to even believe the lies, I don't have to walk around like a Care Bear all the time, because I'm not a Care Bear.
For those who don't know who Care Bears are, Google it. It's a bear that we used to have in the 80s, and it was real plushy and soft and pastel colors. So
and if you don't know what it is, that means you were probably born after 2000.
Absolutely.
Joking, probably after the 90s.
Yeah.
But there's this truth to all of us. The truth, the deepest truth I want everybody to understand is we're made in the image of the Creator. But what does that really mean is where the digging has to happen.
Absolutely.
And then where you have to intentionally remove the lies that we have told ourselves, that I don't have value.
Right.
I don't have any skills. I can't be successful. I can't be in a good relationship. All these things that I think we tell ourselves more than even somebody on the outside tells us. We look in the mirror every single day. And the person that you see in the mirror, the person that I see in the mirror, is the very person I feel like has lied the most to us.
But you make a good point. Sometimes the lies we're telling ourselves are things that other people have said about us, but we've adopted it.
Right.
Like we've brought that in and made that part of our identity. And it's not really who we are. I mean, that's a journey that God has had me on for a while, of understanding who he says I am. How did he hardwire me? How did you design me? Because he makes no mistakes. And so rather than trying to be a carbon copy of somebody else, or accepting the lies of what other people, you're not going to ever be anything. You're going to be just like your daddy. You're going, all of these things that can come through our childhood and get implanted and imprinted upon us, then we're in our adult life. Hopefully you catch it sooner. A lot of people don't. But hopefully in your adult life, you're unpacking some of those things and learning the truth of who you are.
Right. And I want to be totally truthful and transparent right now, y'all. We are new to the podcast arena, but we've been having these deep conversations for a long time. So here goes a dose of truth. We forgot to put our earplugs in for the podcast, and we're going to keep going until my friend's husband find her earbuds, and we can put those in and connect. So listen, you getting authentic truth right here. I don't think should we just say cut? Should we? Man, forget it. Listen, y'all, we messed up. But guess what? It's not the end all be all. I'm hoping you can still hear us in the audio. But that's just really what our show is going to be about. Y'all going to get real authentic truth and experience and what's going on and how we doing these things. So it is what it is. And I think we can switch.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And it is what it ain't. What it's going to be and what it ain't. So listen, real talk. So as you were saying that about just the accepting the truth that how God made you, how did you get to the point to actually want to know that? Because I think sometimes people almost don't want to know the truth because they're scared to see what the truth is.
I think you get tired of living in the lie, or you realize that you're living beneath your means. Me personally, it was through therapy. Like, I am a therapist not because I just started there. I'm a therapist because I actually benefited and saw my life change through therapy. So when Andre and I first got married, like,
that's her husband.
That's my husband.
For those of y'all who checking my
sweet
co-host
thing. So when we first got married, like, every couple goes through their challenges, and so we decided to go to couples therapy to help work through some things because, you know, at the end of the day, you're really bringing two separate lives together. People who have learned and been, you know, conditioned in a certain way and trying to do life. So we started therapy. I started to do individual sessions, and, you know, I had someone to basically begin to point out some of the blind spots. That's what I like to call it. Sometimes we have blind spots. We have areas in our life that we recognize and realize we don't even know that they're there, you know? And so we're operating out of this, you know, unconscious or, you know, subconscious place where these things are playing themselves out. And I'll go into that in a little bit. And you really don't even recognize that these are patterns that have been developed in you and wired in you. And so that's how I came to want to discover that, because I figured, like, there are just certain things I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be feeling bad about myself. I struggled with self-esteem, self-confidence, believing in myself. Am I good enough? And then through, number one, I should back up actually, being in God's presence and beginning to hear what he really thought about me, and then making the investment in myself. That's how I came to the place of, like, realizing, like, there's some lies here. Me personally, my father, and it's a complicated story.
Right.
I'm sure
we
it'll come out along the way. But my father I grew up with wasn't emotionally available. And so that really caused me to believe I was inadequate. I wasn't enough, that I wasn't lovable. It really can cause you to look inward and say, what's wrong with me? And why isn't this person available for me? Or why are they not showing up? Of course, now hindsight is 50-50 or 20-20. You go back and you're like, well, what was their story? What was he dealing with? And as time has played out and I've kind of understood my life and how it came to be, I have a different perspective and understanding. But as a child, you don't necessarily have that rationale. You're not thinking with this adult mind or this renewed mind. You're thinking just, here's this person that's supposed to love me, and they're not necessarily available for me in the way that they should be. I mean, I remember the first thing that I can remember my dad coming to, like, and I was very active in school, was high school graduation.
Wow.
So my mom was always in the audience cheering me on. I mean, I was in chorus, I was in different events, I was speaking things, I was a part of the Mac Night Achievers. Like, I was always doing something, but he wasn't present. And so for me, it left a hole in my spirit.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What lie did his lack of presence until graduation create within you?
So many. If I'm honest and truthful, so many. You're not good enough. A man isn't going to love you. You know, maybe if you were better in this way, you're inadequate, you know. And these aren't things that I'm saying out loud to myself. These are just the things that are stirring around in my spirit and my soul. And, you know, I'm trying to reason with that. And so bringing it fully forward, like, it caused me to start looking for love in other places. The love of a man was so important to me. And I needed it and was almost willing to do so much to try to obtain that, to earn that. And so sometimes that can be manipulated upon. Here's the moment of truth. When you are unwilling to come out of self-deception and tell yourself the truth and do your work, people can manipulate the wounds and the weaknesses that you have. And so you attract the wrong people, they come in, and then what happens is that lie gets reinforced. Because now, not only does my dad not want me, or I'm feeling that, not that that was true, now this person don't want me. Oh, and this person don't want me. And nobody wants me.
Mm-hmm.
You see how it just kind of builds on itself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I love that you said it, and that's that therapeutic stuff. You don't get that. Most people pay hundreds of dollars for that, y'all. So the father of deception.
Mm.
You know, hey, and if y'all hear our homeboy in the back, that's Jackson. He mad because he upstairs. That's that caucus.
Yeah, we loved him, and he tried to join us last time, but we figured we needed a little less chaos.
A little less, right? So, but the dose of truth you just shared is dangerous, y'all, because the father of deception, which is the enemy of God, the adversary, the one who got booted out of heaven, him and his henchmen, I call them the fallen angels, they love to whisper deception and lies to us, that if we're not careful of the voices and the people that we're listening to include ourselves, we can believe a lie and it can get ingrained in us.
Yeah.
Like you can say, well, that's just how I always been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's so dangerous, because if that's how we always have been, and it's been to our detriment, to others' detriment, y'all, we got to change that.
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to be down here on this planet and causing chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be down on this planet and causing change, really. You know, God put every single person on this planet with some purpose, some skills, gifts, and abilities inside. And I heard Myron Golden say this: it's your responsibility to respond to life's problems with your abilities. Mm-hmm. We have to respond and stop reacting like we're a freaking bomb. I had to learn that the hard way. Oh, I was Mr. I'm going off real quick. I got a temper. Oh, this is how I've always been, based on even what I learned about my conception. Yeah. And here go another dose of truth, y'all. If your parents are still around, ask their mindset at the point of conception. Mm. I found out a whole lot about how my personality is and was based on my parents' mindsets during conception. Mm-hmm. There were some frustrating moments that they were going through. That was probably some of the most frustrating moments they had in their life around the time frame when I was conceived, and you birthed a little angry child. Y'all watching this later.
But that's important to you know, remember, like, you are a product of the environment you are part of, and the first environment that you're here in on earth is the womb. Mm-hmm. And so that's really, really good that you share that, because we're shaped by those things. We're shaped by the experiences of others. We're shaped by what they're feeling, what their emotions are. And I think about, like, even as a child, like, you may not know what's going on, but you can feel tension in a room. Like, sometimes we don't give kids credit that they can really pick up on things and understand the tension and what's happening in the household. And so then they're left with these questions, and they're trying to figure it out with their minds that aren't fully developed, and they're still trying to learn who they are. But yeah, you're shaped in the womb. It starts just that early, you know.
In life, y'all, if you haven't realized that already, because I'm pretty sure nobody's going through anything out there, right?
Of course not. Everybody's life's perfect.
Right. The disruption is so real.
Yeah.
When you think about farming, and the Bible talks a lot about seeds and environment and soil, and when the ground gets tilled, it's disturbed. You really can't plant a seed on compacted soil. It's not. It's going to sit on the surface, and it's not going to do what it was intended to do. It probably die right there, because it's never going to come alive. A seed is dead until it starts, going through the birthing process of the outside breaking off. Mm-hmm. These are intentional things. The outside of the shell has to break off, but it can't break off until it's inside the right environment. Right. Until it's in a dark moment, until it's probably in some dirt, some dirty moments, because then the stuff on the inside begins to grow, and it forces the breaking. Y'all, God is so intentional that He allows things to happen in our life to where if we feel stuck, like a seed probably feels stuck in the soil, mm-hmm. part of our topic, right? Removing the lies so you can get out of that stuck place. When you start to intentionally in your mind want to grow, and then connect with the Father, say, Lord, I want to become more aware of you, your presence, what it means to truly have the access that you say we have access to, what it truly means to say all I need is Christ and Christ alone, because He's done everything. That's a whole nother topic we can get into later. But what does that mean? And then to start embracing life as life comes. So when it rains, the seed has no choice but to deal with the rain. When it's hot, the seed has no choice but to deal with the heat. When it's in a drought, it has no choice, right? Yeah. Because it is and in where it is, right? So with us, if we can start looking at life like that, to where it's not about the lies that we have received and that we have told ourselves and that people, have reminded us of. How do you look at those things now, and what voice are you listening to more? So seeds are very grateful when the rain comes. Why? Because that water is necessary. But just as much as the water is necessary, so is the sun.
Yeah.
So it means there's all these things that are necessary for it to actually start growing. And y'all, in life, everything that happens to us is necessary for our growth.
Yes.
And that outside shell won't begin to break until the inside you starts to grow.
Yeah.
It causes the breaking.
Yeah.
So God allows trials and tribulations and toughness and everything else and chaos to start happening. Why? Because many of us have an opportunity to respond. And I say it like that for a reason. You have an opportunity to respond to it one way. Oh man, it's another troubled day or a whole bunch of problems. Or as Les Brown put it one time, another speaker, this is a great opportunity for growth day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about the problems. It's whoa, what a day is this? Another day that I have an opportunity to grow. And if you start looking at life when it starts hammering you, oh, this is a great day for me to grow.
Yeah.
What areas is it attacking? And think about it. Has this area been attacked before?
Yeah.
Because typically, God is still, and I say typically, I should say all the time, God is in the business of growing us to our full potential.
Yeah.
And it won't stop. He won't stop. And I say it as far as the trials and tribulations until we begin to really recognize and learn from those things that allows for that growth to happen, that allows for the lie to die. Mm-hmm. The lies have to die.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Here's the thing, and I think that growth is uncomfortable. And I think that people want to stay comfortable, but that's the key. We don't grow in the comfort zone. Like, it's life's trials and tribulations, and not just external things that are happening to you that come to push you to a place of growth. But I think that it's important, that you pay attention to the emotions you have, like the circumstances, what's going on within you. And what I like to ask myself is, what is this trying to show me? Right. What did it come to teach me? Right. What can I learn from this experience? I'm angry. Okay, so what's the deeper thing up under the anger? Maybe I'm angry because my boss, chewed my work up or whatever and said it wasn't good enough and this, that, and the other. But the deeper truth it's bumping into, or the lie that it's bumping into, is I don't feel adequate. I'm looking for external validation and, approval from other people to feel like I'm worthy and I'm worth it. And the truth of the matter is, we've got to get to a place where we stop looking to other people for our truth and our value, and we find that within. It's dangerous to put your value and your worth in the hands of other people, because people are fickle. Right. They love you one day, they don't the next. Mm-hmm. But that's too important of an aspect for you to rely on other people. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to value, because there are people that are in my life, you and your wife, my husband, our closest friends, my godparents, they can come to me and speak truth to me in a way that their opinion does matter to me. And I really do value what they think of me, because they're closest to me. And 9 times out of 10, they can see what's really happening with me. Right. But I'm not relinquishing that to any and everybody. Like, you don't get that access now. I used to, but not now. Mm-hmm. The more that I've grown and become comfortable with myself and learned to love me and to look up to God for my value, my worth, my validation, His approval, then that matters less. And that doesn't mean when somebody says something to you or they have a bad opinion of you, you're not going to feel it. Here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to bring this on in the room. Right. We have a culture now of toxic positivity or whatever. Like, I'm great. Everything is fine. I don't feel anything. And the hardest part is, one of the places that I've seen it most is in the church. Of like, we don't want to tell the truth about how we're really feeling, what we're really experiencing. Like, we're like, life is great. Somebody asks you and everything around you is falling apart. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. Praise the Lord. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's true. But can we tell the truth of, today's a hard day. Like, life has been really knocking me down. I believe God will bring me out on the other side. But right now, I am not really feeling it. And when I felt this the most, and I'll go ahead and bring this into the space. And this is a space you and your wife have been in with us and walked with us. We've struggled to have kids. That's not been something that has happened for us yet. I do believe God is going to do that. I'm going to hold on to that belief until He called me home or say different. But I can remember going through treatment and then experiencing the letdown of it didn't work. And sometimes, you know, there's this mindset of like, you got to keep going, don't get down, don't feel the emotions. No, no, no. I need to feel all these emotions. I need to sit in the grief of this. Because if I don't, those emotions don't go away. They just get built upon.
Right.
And so we have to be willing to sit in the fullness of the moment. We don't stay there.
Right.
But we got to be willing to tell the truth about, I'm not doing too well right now, y'all.
Right.
Like, I'm really in a not so great place. And then we invite other people, close and trusted people, in to help walk that journey. God will put people with us to help us along the way.
So you said something so important that brought the scripture to my mind, Revelation 12:11, from the Holy Bible, y'all. Listen, it says, they triumph over by the blood of the Lamb, and this is really the sacrifice of Christ, okay? And by the word of their testimony. Now, it's more to that, but the word of their testimony. Y'all, we got to be transparent. It's not always that you're going to feel blessed and highly favored. You might feel bothered and aggravated and frustrated. Bothered and aggravated over blessed and highly favored. You might just tell the truth, though, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about, we do have to find how to have the pureness of the joy, knowing that we have access to the Almighty God.
Yeah.
And that everything is already done. The finished works of Christ, here again for a deep conversation later, means, y'all, we don't have to work the way we think we have to work. The real work is getting your mindset to understand that truth, right? And to understand that we overcome by the word of our testimony. Y'all, your story,
Absolutely.
like, it matters. I was getting my tires done the other day at this place down in where we live at in Covington. And we were talking, this guy asked about my car. I got a car that's marked up. Y'all see I Stay Mad on the side, look like a whole race car. So the guy was like, what does that mean? Went to the story for like everything on there has a meaning. The paint splatters like, hey, keep trying, something gonna stick, My number that's on there is my old football representation, just, number 18, whatnot. And I stay mad, make a decision and make a difference in your community and stay mad and motivated, stay motivated, determined why you do. So why am I saying that? Because I am very transparent about my story.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent about my struggles. Why? Because somebody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
When I was a youth minister, teacher for a while, I remember a couple young guys came up to me and I shared some different addictions that I had at the time, and they're like, Mr. LeVar, if you would have never shared that, I would never got through mine. Y'all, we gotta share.
Yeah.
And so as I was talking to the guy at the tire shop, he was saying, me and my family, we go to church here and there, but he says, a lot of times you see these athletes and movie stars and famous people who come share their story. Man, they really get a hold of folk. I said, okay, so what about your story? He shared that he was on the right track. Age 22, had good money coming in, was about to get married, and he made some decisions and he lost the engagement, lost everything, went to jail for a few years, and then now since married, 3 kids, 3 beautiful daughters from what he said, manager at this place, and life is a lot better. And I said, bro, your story can connect with way more people than the athletes, because everybody's not an athlete.
Yeah.
Everybody's not a movie star.
No.
Everybody's not famous. But there's a whole bunch of everyday folk, and when you think about sheer numbers, that can identify with your story. And that's what I'm here to even tell the viewers, y'all. Your story matters. Yeah. What you have and are going through and will in the future can connect with so many people that you got to be willing to share, not from embarrassment no more. It ain't about shame. We all going through the same thing. It's called life.
Yeah.
We going through it. And some of us getting handed.
Yeah.
And some of us are crying at night and frustrated in tears and don't even know where to go. But you got to be willing to open your mouth and share with folk, because your story can really bring somebody through it, man. And it gives God glory. It don't matter how bad it is.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I think sometimes people see vulnerability as weakness.
Right.
But I actually think it's the greatest level of strength that you can have, to be willing to share a part of yourself. Now, here's the thing. Now, we're not saying you go tell everybody your story, but you need to be led and guided, because some people will use that against you and weaponize your story and do more damage than good. But when you've really given it, I truly believe all things in the hands of God can be beneficial.
Absolutely.
And so one of the ways that I've been able to take the power back from the bad moments is to use them for good. Mm-hmm. And so identifying with other people to just come alongside somebody and say, I've been there. Mm-hmm. I know how it feels. Not, I'm going to tell you, you should feel better. Don't feel this way. Don't feel that way. no, that hurts. Like, for instance, if I'm talking to someone who has been through the struggles of infertility, I can identify with your pain in a way that someone who hasn't been there can, and that's not to say they can't help you, but it's just different when you've been through a thing, and so when you're able to use what was maybe meant to tear you down or make you feel bad or to destroy you to do good, it gives you the power back. It gives you, it shifts the whole perspective of the story. Now, are we wishing for bad things to happen? Absolutely not. But the life we live, they're guaranteed to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no perfect life. There is no perfect thing. And I think here's the other thing. Like, I can remember going back to when we got married. Like, I would look at other couples and I'm like, they seem perfect. Like, they don't ever have problems. Like, they always get along. And then, our marriage was less than perfect. And so then it can really make you think, like, what's wrong with us? Like, are we on the right path? Should we have gotten together? This is a place where the enemy can play tricks on you and try to tell you stuff that's not true and bring in more lies. But as I talk to other couples and realize, and heard other people being transparent about, yeah, we argue, we have disagreements, like this whole don't go to bed mad, like, yeah, we go to bed mad, sometimes we get up mad too, or whatever,
That's true.
So it's like, but it gives you this freedom to say, I'm not alone.
Right.
Because the worst place you can be with the lie is in isolation.
Right.
If you're isolated, it's where the enemy can play the most games with you. Yeah,
that silence, although God can put you in an isolated moment, too much silence and too much isolation is so dangerous, because when are you going to get encouraged to get out of that spot? Another scripture comes to my mind, John 8:32. Let me see if I said that right before I sit up here and quote and be wrong. 8:32. Now, I don't like to read a verse and just say, here's a full text, because you always, here's another dose. When you read one verse, it's like walking in the middle of a conversation, hearing 30 seconds and walk out. There's no way for you to capture the fullness of that conversation. So you start studying the Bible, y'all, read more than just a verse. Read a passage, get an understanding of what they were talking about before, during, and after.
I heard it said this way before by someone else. This is not me, y'all. This is somebody else. They say if you take the context, if you take the text out of the context, you're left with the con.
Yeah, and people will con your behind.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, there have been some people in the body of Christ that
story.
have conned some folk. And I say in the body of Christ because they were in the area. We don't know where their hearts are, but I won't call nobody out because folk just do what they want to do. God is the one who deals with it. So, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. To be set free, because they used to be taught to set free, and I think some translations say that. But the King James says, make you free. It will make you free, y'all. Being set free is almost to be released. To be made free is a cause.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at how God operates, God allows things to happen, but there's sometimes he causes you to do something. There's a push. There's a you will, because if you don't, then I'm going to cause things to get you in gear. Life's frustrations, they're meant to cause us to move, cause us to pivot, cause us to start positive affirmations. Y'all, that isolation, if it's not caused by God, you better get your behind out of that, because it's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's so important, y'all, because your life matters. There is so much that you're here on this planet to do. And even through our dialogue, conversations, and all the doses that we're going to, produce out here, it is really meant to get you active. We want to see you active fully and living a full and filled life based on how God sent you on this planet to live. But it does start with being honest about who he is first. And the reason why I say with him first, y'all, because you can't find out who you are until you know who sent you here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you start looking in the mirror, sometimes we can be confused. But when you start looking in the mirror and have some confidence in who God is, for my process, he started showing me who I was. So when I was in some of my lowest moments and challenged about fatherhood as a husband, I felt like I was failing in every area. I was doing good at work, because work is work. I got to take care of my family. But in the areas that mattered the most to me, I felt like I'm messing up.
So, okay, let's go there. What was the lie you told yourself about that?
That nothing was working. That I probably wasn't good enough for my wife. not good enough to raise these kids. I don't know how to raise kids. Like, who am I to, you know what I mean? So those things started creeping in because life wasn't progressing at the speed that I wanted, or my plans didn't work out. So it was countless nights up just wondering, what am I doing? Like, Lord, I know I'm not meeting the standard, because the standard is really set by Him that nobody can meet, so we can understand the need for salvation. But on the basic things, come on, dog, you could be a good dad, but yet you have caused your kids to cry through my anger and frustration in life, and I'm on the edge a little bit and a little bit too snappy with them when they don't deserve that. Or even with my wife, at times, and still, at times now, as we struggle through sometimes the communication, sometimes it has nothing to do with your spouse. It's everything. It's what's going on inside.
Right.
The internal turmoil. If y'all could have seen what I felt like was going on inside of me, was like the craziest thunderstorm with F5 tornadoes, and I'm in the middle, and not even being spun up by it, but in the middle looking at all, it's like, well, how the heck am I gonna get out of this? And y'all, and try not to get emotional with it, but it was so frustrating. But on the outside looking in, most people like, y'all winning.
Right.
And inside, I feel like, what? I'm losing.
Right.
Right. And so the lies that crept up in me that kept my feet stuck in cement was that, well, nothing worked in the past. Well, this is it. This must be it for you. You know what I mean? So I told myself lies for the longest, and that kept me from getting in business, kept me from even restarting after things went haywire in certain aspects of it, and then kept me from even wanting to, y'all invited us to a couples therapy session. I think it was at a church in, I forget where it was.
Our counselor, Tim.
Yeah. Amazing, and we needed it at that moment. And we had always talked about getting the oil in the marriage, and I say oil because oil keeps your car running, right?
Right.
We never went to one-on-one therapy, right? But God has blessed us to where we have been figuring things out, but it really couldn't hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, the lies I started telling myself is just inadequacies. Like, no, you're not good enough, bro. Your kids would be way better off without you and all that stuff. Never had thoughts of suicide. But when I tell you, it was just like, I can't figure this out for them.
Yeah.
Like, man, they gonna grow up struggling because I haven't put things in place. You know what I'm saying?
Almost like a sense of hopelessness.
Yeah.
Like there is no way out.
Right.
Like this is just what it's gonna be.
Right. And I'm telling y'all, the way out that happened for me was, and I'm not being cliche, y'all. Please hear my heart. It really is God. The more frustrated I get, and I say I made the decision, but I still feel like God put stuff in our head. It just pushed me to Him. Because this was my rationale. I didn't ask to be here.
And He probably said just like this.
I'm telling y'all the truth. This is a conversation I had with the Creator who can just stop my heart like that. And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but this is a pure frustration. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't make myself show up here. I didn't ask to have the parents and the lineage and nothing. I love my parents. I didn't ask for these scenarios. Yes, I asked my wife to marry me and we made the kids, right?
Yeah.
But for things not to work out, I tried.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I didn't make myself show the earth. So maybe what's supposed to happen in my life is not fully my responsibility.
Right.
Maybe there's some responsibility that I'm going to need you to take. And I said that. And some people may feel like, well, no, LeVar, you're responsible for your life. No, I'm not. Because if I can't control whether I keep breathing, then there's somebody else who got to take ownership of it. And y'all, with that conversation, it drove me to say, well, since you're not talking right now, I started reading more. And I started pursuing Him like a child would aggravate their parent. If I said we finna go somewhere and a couple hours, hey, are we still going? Are we still going? And y'all, this was what I was doing. Hey, you hear me? I've been praying, I've been talking, I've been reading, I'm stuck. Maybe I'm slow. Yeah. I need you to speak. No more signs. I don't do sign language. Yeah. This is how I was pursuing God, y'all. And it turned to the habits, good habits, and it turned to finally starting to hear. Yeah. And it turned to finally being more aware of, oh, shoot, this situation was for my good.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, there is more in life. And if I would have never got this frustrated, I would never sought your heart.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing, and I think this is, let's just go ahead and say this, because I don't know, some people got this picture of God and the Creator that He's dainty and fragile or whatever, because we got a lot of fragile people in this world.
A whole lot.
But God can handle it.
Right.
And the thing is, like, we act like if we don't say it, He don't know it. It's already in your heart. He knows how you feel. He knows what you're thinking. just give it to him. Like, and you don't have to be, all this prim and proper with how you give it to him. Just talk, just in the frustration, like, talking about like our fertility journey. There were times I was like, God, I don't understand. I'm angry. I don't want to talk to you right now because I don't get what's happening. And you're not telling me anything, because I do believe that that's a part of your walk with God. Like, you'll go through a season or seasons at time where you feel like he's silent.
Right.
That there is no revelation or no understanding, and you're trying to make sense of what's happening with you, but it's not there. But I think you really accessed freedom when you allowed yourself to be able to tell the truth of how you felt, to give it to him, and to stop relying on you. Like, I'll be honest, like, I couldn't do this life without him as a part of it.
Absolutely.
Like, because the things that, especially in the world today, I'd be completely off my rocker or whatever, trying to make heads or tails and to feel secure and settled. But I'm not moved by what happens outside of me and in this world. And am I concerned about it? Do I want to make positive change towards it? Absolutely. But I also recognize who's on the throne and who's really in control. If I truly believe you are who you are, then I don't have to worry about the day-to-day things. I can rest in you. And here's the thing, and this is something that we've kind of been like on at our church in this series that we've been in, that when Jesus left, he gave us a comforter. He gave us a teacher, someone, the Holy Spirit, that walks with us every day, who's available to lead, guide, and direct our paths, to inspire wisdom. And we kind of, I don't know if I was talking about this on the last one or if we were just in conversation, but like, God is bigger than even the Bible. Like, the Bible is great, and that's a good place to start, and you need to understand what it says in his word. But the Holy Spirit will whisper to you things that aren't even in the book. And it'll bear witness with your soul. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? In your spirit. You're like, I don't know how I know that's true, but I know that's true.
Because it's an active, living dialogue and conversation. God is not dead.
Yeah.
Y'all, I want to leave with this, and if you have more thoughts, let me know. But so in those moments of my frustration, when I was believing the lies, when I was stuck, I still remember I was up in our bathroom area, the master bath, wife asleep, kids asleep. It's about 2-3 in the morning, breaking down, frustrated. And I said, I feel like my life is falling apart. And I literally felt God say, no, all the pieces are falling in place. So just as bad as y'all think things are getting, stuff is falling in place, y'all. Like, trust God. And it's not because you don't have any other options. Trust that the creator of existence has you in mind. If you're going through something, just know that he's thinking about you. If you ain't going through stuff, it's not that he's not. He probably giving you a break from dealing with stuff. But y'all, if you feel like stuff is falling apart, there's a strong chance that things are falling in place. But you got to trust God. Trust the positioning that he has you in. When he came to the garden after Adam and Eve sinned, he did not know where they were. He was seeing, and it's not that he didn't have the knowledge, but it was pretty much, tell me where you at. It wasn't a geographical location. Where are you at here? And I ask everybody, where are you at here?
Right.
Because if you can be honest here, then you can break the cement off your feet. You can get moving. And you get back in this thing called life.
And I think that it's important because sometimes, we think about the bigness of God and how magnificent he is, and he seems so big, and he's all of that. But he's also not just worried about mankind. He's worried about LeVar Green Sr. He's in love with Virginia Jackson. You get what I'm saying? Like, he is invested in you, the person. Like, he's not just this far off, idea that's not real. He can be as close and as real as this chair that I'm sitting in. And it's hard to describe sometimes, but you can feel him You know, you can sense him. Like you there's just something in you that you know that it's real. Okay, so here's your takeaways from today, and because this is the theme of the podcast, you know, truth in doses and activating the truth within yourself. We're gonna give you more of this to come, but what are the things in life coming to show you or to reveal to you? What are your emotions trying to communicate with you? It's a message. It all can be used to help understand yourself better. So be willing to tell the truth about how you feel, where you are, where you're not. You know, you don't have to subscribe to this culture of toxic positivity, like that you're always good and nothing's ever wrong. You can be honest about what you've been through, how it's affected you. And that's just the starting point. We talked about we were going to give you small doses. Now this is a process. Like you're not going to tell the truth of who you are and be honest with yourself and you're fixed tomorrow. You might be, or it might be a long journey that you've got to keep walking out. But that's your first step. Be honest with yourself. Be real about what you feel, what life has caused you to make you feel, and the lies you have told yourself. And find something bigger than you to anchor in. Because at the end of the day, without it, you know, we can even be fickle sometimes. So my hope is that you will find what that bigger thing is.
And write it down.
Yeah.
So not only put it in the chat, you know, tell us what you've been struggling with.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't subscribe to the lies of this world, but subscribe to this channel, y'all. So subscribe, like, and share. But here's an action item. Get you a piece of paper. After you kind of put your comments in here, you know, write on a piece of paper every lie that you have believed that you want to come out of agreement to.
Right.
And burn that paper up.
Yeah. I love that because I've gone over that with clients before too. Like that symbolic thing that we do of destroying it, ripping it up, burning it, like throwing it in the trash, balling it up, throwing it against the wall. Like whatever you need to do to bring, because symbolism is important, and it's like you're closing that chapter and you're serving notice to the lie, like no more.
And it can't come back.
It can't come back.
It can't come back.
Well, here's the thing. It might come back. But you have to keep trying, and you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like, even if it does, you have to anchor yourself. That's why I say that it's good to get some word or something bigger than you, because when the lie wants to root itself in you, you can go back to, well, the truth of it is that I am this. I'm not a failure. I'm not, you know, awkward. I'm not unlovable. I am the apple of his eye. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. He is concerned about me. Like, you can anchor in that.
Yeah, and I like that you corrected that, because it's like you can get in shape and get out of shape real quick if you stop doing what you're doing intentionally.
Absolutely. I didn't make it to the gym this week, dog.
I got to get that too. I had a couple days and I took some days off. But if you think about the podcast name, it's a verb. It's an action. Listen to it. Activating the truth in doses. And every day we have to make a decision. Here we go again, my whole I stay mad thing. But seriously, for you, you got to make a decision to give your heart to God every single day. To be intentional about not believing the lies. Like, y'all, these are things that you have to, the positive affirmations. You have to do this stuff daily. Because if you don't, then you give something else opportunity to creep in. I heard E.T., the hip-hop preacher, say this. He's like, it's not that I don't sin. My schedule's too busy. He said, so when Satan tried to come up and mess with him, he's like, it's 8:30, dog. I'm finna go to bed. I ain't got time. He said, you know, try me later this week. I don't get, I don't get no time on my schedule. So he says he fills up his schedule. He said with intentional, purposeful, godly things that's affecting the earth. Because he ain't got time for the foolishness. And y'all, it's not about just being busy to be busy, but being busy doing the right thing. It's something that I feel like we can honor the King with our lives with.
And I feel like we'll circle back to this, because in a future one, it will probably be important to talk about like how long it takes to develop a habit, how do you really unearth these lies from within your unconscious and your subconscious? Because here's the thing, like, I'll leave you with this analogy. I say sometimes the way we think and the way we feel is like a freight train moving in a direction at a high rate of speed. You don't stop a train on a dime. You're going to have to slow that train down. You got to make intentional effort to turn that train around and take it in the other direction. But every step you take is a step in the right direction. So it is a process, but a lot of these things are so ingrained in us that we do it without thinking. So how do we then retrain our minds, retrain our spirit, our soul, because our spirit is perfect, that's from God, but retrain our soul to latch onto the good and not the bad.
I like that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that though. This was dose 2. Listen, the importance of telling yourself the truth and how lies keep you stuck. And so we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll join us again. We're going to be back here next time, speaking truth.
Yep, and sparking transformation.
And
Thanks
sparking
again for joining
transformation.
Activating Truth in Doses. We out.
Have a good one.